GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
That's weird, it didn't unmute me. So welcome everybody to episode 1272 of our Daily Gun Show. On Tuesdays, we talk about our Second Amendment. So we got a poll going about which state we should focus on tonight. As we get moving here, that won't be a poll thing. So take the opportunity while you can to vote on the state. We got Iowa, Alaska, and Montana. Those were brought up in the barbecue chat that just ended. Fake rip off of this chat. So if you want like a dollar store version of this chat, you can listen to that chat earlier in the day on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the other ones, oh snap, we got Alaska in there. So it looks like it's happening. We're going with Alaska. So there's links out there to a couple of folks who might want to join in. If you're out there listening and you've got the gumption to join in a live conversation that's focused intently on the Second Amendment, then feel free to jump in. We got Woods joining us from Washington, Pacific Northwest, so to speak. Welcome.
Hey, G, thanks for having me. Long time no see.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. We've got closed down some stuff that we were looking at from before. We got the show up here. We got the poll going. At this point, I'm guessing we only got one vote. So even though it says there's 4 people watching, that's 4 people, 3 people sleeping. One person.
And that's my vote.
Oh, so there you go. So what I'm going to do is close out of that screen so much as bring my screen up. And then, oh wait, you know what? Can I do this? Oh, no, it's only with that, huh? So do this and then move me over. No, can't do that either. All right, we just got to suck it up to me. So, and then I'm going to do this though. And this is what I'm planning on doing. I'm going to make a bigger version of this, but this is one that I misprinted. Here's what happened. I went to print this thing one time and this side's okay, but upside down back cover. This side's okay, upside down second to the last page, right? So it got screwed up. So this is a project I worked on. The concept was to get a guide for conversations like we had just before. We have these conversations, been having these conversations. I've been having these conversations online, live since 2012 with things called Quick. QIX, I think, and Blog TV were the 2 ways that we could stream. We had some high-speed internet back then, and a lot of people were using it. We had forums and other things that had established communities. Lots of us were good friends, the equivalent of what we considered pen pals from the old days. Friends that had common interests, and some of those common interests were the fundamental pieces of liberty, like ownership of firearms by individuals, right? So when we have these conversations over the years, where's this guy? He's out there commenting. He was in here before, but he jumped out. Over the years, though, we had these conversations, and it's frustrating. Some of the stuff just isn't at our fingertips. Some of the data, it's all screwed up for me right now, but let's take this, for example, famous females with firearms. You might have known about some girl that did something good, but you can't remember her name or what year or something. Here's a list of indoor shooting ranges, some of the largest ones in the countries. Sometimes we'll have discussions and, something like the size or the state or the location or how big it is. comes up, or we wonder, is this one bigger than another? So the idea was just to have kind of like an almanac, sort of a trivia guide, sort of a bar trivia equivalent type of book for the Second Amendment. And I've done a couple of different versions of this. This is really all just, I guess I have to start remembering how this stuff would be. This is all really just an attempt to put our Minuteman University project, which is a big giant website, into print, right? So this attempt is one page for each state. And I'm going to come up with a better introduction for this because this was rambling. But this is a misprint of a book that I published in 20. I don't remember when we made this one. In 20 and 2 years ago. And this was an attempt to get the website into a book and in a format with, I'm going to call it geography, I guess. So there's all kinds of stuff going on in the book. What we're going to look at is what's going on in these different states. And at this point, we got 4 votes. It's tied between Iowa and Alaska. So I'm not sure what to do. And I think you said Alaska, and DJ's the only other one that was planning on coming in tonight and joining. And he's saying, he said Iowa. So why don't we go look at both? Because I don't think either one of them are that big, even though you would think Alaska would be that big. So this is freaking me out. I guess Alaska is going to be at the back of the book. Nope, it's going to be at the front. That was Alabama, Arkansas. Oh, it will be at the back. I'm getting seasick thumbing through a book. What's up with this? Where's Alaska? Colorado, Wyoming.
Oh, you didn't do it alphabetically?
Oh, I totally did it alphabetically. Arizona, California. Maybe I forgot about Alaska. Nobody really goes to that state that often. It has to be on the back of this page. There it is. It's hiding. I don't know how to turn pages good. All right, so we don't have a lot of stuff for Alaska. And the other state was Iowa. How am I going to find Iowa? Mississippi, Montana, New Jersey. So it's going to be, there's no way to know which way it's going to be. But this is weird. This is why I can't send this one out. It's almost useless. Idaho, Indiana. Wait a minute. Oh, Kansas. So I don't even know how to figure this out on the other side. It's going to be before New Jersey, I guess. Weird. Illinois, Iowa. All right, we got Iowa, we got Alaska. So that's the 2 states. So in the future, I'll have a nice little intro. It'll be flashy and interesting, and then we'll dig in. This will also be bigger, and eventually this will be a page on the website as well. Each of the states will get a page over there on the website. This is one of the things that I kind of envisioned on Every Second Matters, but never had the resources to kind of accomplish it. So looking at Alaska, it was the 49th state into the Union in 1959. So for most of y'all, it was before we were born, right? But every once in a while, we find somebody who that was in their lifetime. I guess I could probably, should I focus this thing in instead of trying to be weird with it? Is that better? Yeah,
That's good right there.
See it, right?
Now you got it.
So January 3rd, up on the top right, we got the flag kind of in the state shape there for consistency. So we've got January 3rd, 1959, the 49th state. Alaska does have a Second Amendment. That's what this first paragraph is here. The Alaska's state constitution includes this paragraph: a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The individual right to keep and bear arms shall not be denied or infringed by the state or political subdivision of the state.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. I like how that was written. That's so much easier.
You know what I'm going to do? Looks like the way this is
Can we steal
working,
that for the whole country?
Every state's got their own. But how many states do not have their own constitution? Trivia question.
I'm going to go with 15.
Holy moly, really? So I'm not going to make a, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Because this is getting to be weird, right? Like watching the book behind it, people will freak out and start getting dizzy. So what I'll do is I'll put this screen behind it, and And now we can watch. Oops.
We can see
Now
Bob.
we can watch the poll over here. So if you're out there and you're not a federal narc, federal narcs aren't allowed to vote. Biden doesn't put it in their overtime, but everybody else can vote. It's free. And we got 4 votes. So maybe we'll do another state. Maybe we won't. Let's see. So going on, where's my little pointer, my crooked pointer? We'll go with open carry without a permit, concealed carry, 1994. They have approximately 98,000 or 9,800 permits as of 2017, the last data I could get before I wrote this, or accumulated. It's not like I wrote this, I guess. Constitutional carry started in September of 2003. They were the second state after Bueller, Vermont never had any laws against it. So they removed the prohibition on concealed carry, or excuse me, yeah, the prohibition on concealed carry without a permit, 2003. That's what happened in 2003. How many of the people were like, oh, well, we shouldn't do that. No one's done it before. We're never going to be able to do that. How are we going to be able to do it if so-and-so hasn't done it already? They did it. I don't know what. That would be an interesting story. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, for sure.
I've never heard it.
Wouldn't you think that people in Alaska pretty much carried whenever they wanted? Nobody really cared.
Well, I'm sure, but was it somebody got arrested for it? Or they were hassling?
Yeah, there's got to be some story behind it, because
some story, right?
Why did they even I could see why Alaskans that are super pro-gun wouldn't need a constitutional carry or not, because they know they're going to drive around in their town and they're going to go fight bears later. So they would never think you couldn't take a gun anywhere you want.
And plus, probably people are like, I'm drunk and I'm taking your gold. And they're like, no, you ain't. And my 44 is saying you ain't. Right? Like that's got to happen once in a while. I've heard
Yeah,
stuff
for sure.
like that. Their slogan for the state is North to the Future, which I think is weird. Adopted by the state in 1967. They don't have suppressors for hunting.
I like this next piece. That's awesome.
What?
They have a state firearm?
Yeah, only how many states have state firearm?
Not many, I bet.
So everybody left. As soon as I started challenging them, the viewers left. So if you were listening to this in the future, like as a recording, how many states do you think had a Second Amendment? 45 of them. 5 puny states don't. Well, California has one, doesn't have one. But 5 states don't have one. 45 states do have some, commitment to protect the right to carry or to own firearms, to keep and bear arms of some way or another. Some of them are very clear. Other ones are like, yeah, it's okay for you to have a gun, I guess. But some of them are giant paragraphs. Some of them are a line or 2. And then as far as state firearms, I think it's 9. It's either 8 or 9. I think it's 8. So let's see. They were July 14th. I think they were the first. They might have been the first. I got it on one of the other pages in here. But it isn't, because it's in on one of these other pages, but I don't know where that page is. Let's put it that way. Oh, it has to be on this page if I'm looking at the right book. Oh, you know what? I'm looking at the wrong book. Let's look at a different book. Put it right at the beginning. State firearms. So Alaska was the 7th state. What's up with that, Alaska? I thought I was giving them credit for being first when Utah should be first. Arizona was second 6 years earlier. Indiana, West Virginia, Kentucky, Pennsylvania. Barbecue doesn't jump into this one. Alaska, the other state we're going to be talking about, or the state we're talking about, I guess. What was the other state we're going to talk about? Oh, Arkansas? No.
Iowa?
No. Iowa doesn't have one. And then the last one is Tennessee. We'll just keep this other book here just in case we need it. All right, so 7th state out of 8 to come up with a state firearm in 2014. So looking for something to do, looking to organize people, sanctuary cities, sanctuary counties, I should say, sanctuary states. What is it? NFA firearm sanctuaries. State firearms is an easy one, though. Very easy. Pink is saying 6 states. No, it was 8. And what would your state gun be? So what in Washington? What would your state gun be? What is
Something made by Aero Precision, right?
Oh, look, he's going straight to Aero Precision.
But go to Tacoma.
Is it right
My
on the
kids
other
live like
side?
3 blocks from there.
Oh, look at that. I had it right there. I could have just flipped the page and it'd have been very convenient. Been right there. Let's jump into the rest of Alaska because I just don't have a lot. And this is a factor of me having written this before I did more research. So this is an old set of data that wasn't complete as it is now and small. I tried to make this thing, I think I was talking before how I tried to make this thing like a user guide or a pocket guide, literally a pocket guide. For 2 reasons. I wanted to make this thing small so it could fit in a cargo pocket. One, so that you could have it around and it wouldn't be as cumbersome as this form factor, which I believe is the best form factor for a manual, really, with the spiral bound and that kind of thing, and then big enough pages you can read. But this, I wanted it to be small enough people could have it around, put it in a pocket or whatever. And the other motive is that all you have to do is fold it in half and staple it. And that was like, I forget, like $20 stapler or something. It's just a little fancy stapler that lets me do that. And then it's just paper, a printer, and a stapler. And it lets me make these. So that was the other reason for going with the small form factor. But it is pretty crowded. It seems to work right here, though. But it's also a reason why there's just not a lot of stuff here. So I got the same data for each of the states. And then this, starts to be more specific. So they are a Second Amendment sanctuary. In the way that they have the Alaska Firearms Freedom Act. So not so much sanctuary counties, which I think I would have had in here if they had them, but instead they have this thing called, from 2010, the Alaska Firearms Freedom Act declared certain firearms and accessories exempt from federal regulation and made it unlawful for any state assets to go towards the enforcement of federal gun laws is a nullification of federal law. So as long as the gun didn't leave the state, they said your national laws don't apply to us. But in 13, they amended and expanded it, and I don't know the status of it. So I think it still exists. If you're in Alaska and let me know. Oh, we got people saying stuff. So pink is out there. I thought it was 6. What am I going to do it over here? And Texas has the Colt Walker for a state firearm. Well, they don't, though. They haven't even bothered with one. I would think the Walker, but whatever your Rangers carried around, but the problem is your Rangers carried whatever they felt like. So maybe like a 1911 would work too. But yeah, probably the Walker.
What did Walker Texas Ranger have?
He had a big 357, I think. But that's a good question. I never actually watched the show. I watched, Outlaw Josie. Lone Wolf McQuade, which is the real Walker Texas Ranger, and he had a 357.
You only had to watch the last minute where he spinning around kicked everybody in the face.
Let's see. So then we get the Handy Tasker from 2011 to 2019. Was in Fairbanks. We had the first marksman in history, the first markswoman in history to win a gold medal was Pat Spurgeon in 1984. She's from Alaska. Now there's another first from an Olympic female markswoman, but that was winning a gold in Olympics, and that was a silver, if I remember right. That's somebody else, and I think she's from like Kansas or Nebraska or somewhere in the middle. So this was my little piece of Alaska. This was sponsored by Garrett, I think Barbecue, Carrie, and Tim. So when this was being crowdfunded, a bunch of people jumped in I did this through sponsorship on the store. So over at our Gear website store, I don't know if I got links to that kind of stuff in here. No. Oh yeah, buy cool stuff at our Gear website store. Look at that. I do put some marketing in there. So over at our Gear website store, people were able to sponsor pages to help give time to work on this project. So thanks to those folks for sponsoring Alaska. And now we'll jump to Iowa, which I lost one place on already. Probably here. Got a whole page for Iowa. Oh, no, I don't. There's a very small section for Iowa. So maybe it'd be a short show tonight, unless people have questions or whatever. ideas for future shows. This is 2A Tuesday, so we might do, or we will be eventually doing more. We might try to worry about that.
Can I still buy the 20 states? Do you still have these, or?
I can print these, but it's going to be an old version. I'm trying to build a version like this, and I think I have one draft, or else I gave the draft to somebody. Sometimes when people order stuff, I'll throw a draft in there. If I think
Right, you've done that for me before. I just was wondering if I could buy one. Whenever you're ready, I'd buy one.
I think these are on the store. I just got to print one. So these are print. I kind of call them print on demand. I just print one if somebody orders one. Or I usually have a couple over there, but I'm not sure. If I don't have one on the shelf, then they're not on the store. I think that's the way I do it. I don't want to sell something and depend on the printer. But either way, if somebody's interested, I'll print a couple off because I'll be doing this. However, you're really just helping support what we're doing. I would give you this one, but this one I planned on using. But if you want this one, you're welcome to it. And didn't you just grab something from the store today? Yeah,
I bought something for today, but you don't have to worry about all that. I don't need it anytime soon. I did the other one, the 2A Almanac. I bought 2 of them. I gave one to my brother, and he reported back that he's been discussing 2A topics, and it's been very nice having that resource that he can show people that are like, because he works, in kind of a redneck kind of area, so it's not anti-gunners at all, but he's like, here, look at this. Here's these things. And I don't know exactly, I have to get back to him, but he's used it as a resource several times in this last week. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, right on. That's exactly what it's about. So DJ saying who sponsored Iowa, because he sponsored Iowa, and Terry and Karen.
Which no, we both know who that is.
So then that's Library Garrett also.
Yeah, we haven't seen him in a while.
It might come on in the evenings because he comes around in the evenings, I think.
Yeah, is he one of those overnight dudes that used to watch us when we would chat all the time? It's like yesterday or pants or like that.
Why is this thing? Because of swears, I guess. Sorry, I don't even pay attention to what's going on there. All right, so DJ's not jumping in. It's obvious. So let's get into Iowa. Iowa, 29th state. December 28th, 1846. Who would have thunk? I feel like Iowa would have been later than that, but I guess I don't know. Iowa has no state constitutional right to keep and bear arms. However, the Iowa Constitution does guarantee certain inalienable rights, among which are defending life and protecting property. The hell, Iowa. So they're worried about their corn, the life of their corn, but not your right to have firearms about it. This is their flag. Bird pecking at a snake, maybe? I don't know what it is. Or a ribbon. It's either a bird carrying a ribbon or a bird pecking at a snake. And I guess that's in Article 1, Section 1. They talk about this.
Okay.
We've only had a couple of people from Iowa, so we don't get a lot of Iowa insight. Oh, let's see. Open carry without a permit. Well, that's nice. Concealed carry. They were the... I guess I didn't mark in here. I think I got a chart in here somewhere. I don't remember if I did back then. But anyway, concealed carry, they were 2011, they got shall issue. And I'm not sure if I was making a note of when they moved, because some states had to move to may issue and then another shift to shall issue. Other states went straight to shall issue.
Yeah, we were shall issue the whole time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I made a note of that in here, if I knew that. I remember pulling this. The way I did this is I made a spreadsheet and I pulled the data into here from a spreadsheet. But I was also kind of learning how to use this software to make the book. So I had a lot going on learning curve wise, but I don't remember so I really probably should have had something to designate, like never had may issue at least, so that I'd know not to worry about it. But anyway, so they definitely had their shall issue since 2011. Looks like they've got 274,000 permits. I think what was Alaska, 9,000 something. Yeah. So how crazy is that 300 1,000 people in Iowa have a concealed carry permit.
Well, how many people are actually in Alaska though? 300,000 total.
I didn't have the population. That would be
It's
kind
not
of
many.
interesting. Then it turns into like an almanac, but on the bigger page, I could definitely have room for it.
I know Juneau's got
Um,
100,000 people in the city, and there's what that in
But
Anchorage.
as far as little state, or as far as the what they call it, states down here, the states that are hanging out together, Iowa doesn't have a giant population either.
Right. It's a
Right,
pretty good
so-
percentage though.
That's what I'm saying. You know, this is a lot. I would think this is a lot of Iowa. And what are they afraid of in Iowa? Children of the corn?
Canada.
No, they're nowhere near Canada. They're right in the middle of everybody. They've got nothing to worry about. They're next to like Kansas and Nebraska. All the loving states hold Iowa gently around them, in between them.
Okay, I'm gonna blame DJ then.
What? Oh, 3 billion in Iowa? 3 million. That makes more sense. 3 million. So that's still a pretty good chunk of the state has a concealed permit. All right. Constitutional carry, for some reason, wait a minute. They're not one of the states that just got it. No. So they don't have it yet. And this would be an interesting thing to keep track of. Constitutional carry attempted 4 times. Attempted last whatever year. That would be a cool thing to keep track of. Suppressors for hunting. 2016, they removed the prohibition on using the suppressor for hunting. That made them the 39th state to do so in 2016. How many states? Anyone? Don't use suppressors for hunting anymore? Or can use suppressors for hunting again? They don't have a state firearm. They don't care about state firearms. What would be the state firearm of Iowa?
I feel like something really funny.
Maybe you'd have to give it to, I would make an LMT, but that's a very recent move. So you'd almost have to make it something about Brownells by default because they're such a big gun thing and they're right in the middle of the state. So if you look at Iowa and this little flag here is in the middle of Iowa, for some reason, like they cut all their crops to make it look like this. They plant blueberries over here and strawberries over here, a bunch of rice, and then in the middle they plant all this brown potatoes. And then right around here is where Brownells is, from what I remember. So if you're ever been wondering where Iowa is, or where Brownells is, from what I remember, it's somewhere like there. So Brownells, since 1947, I don't like Brownells that much, but on the other hand, I've always liked Brownells. I like Brownells, but at the same time, like they're wasting a bunch of effort, I think. And I could mansplain. Like they gave me the controls of that goat or whatever that thing is, like I'd be running Brownells better. Not the business, but what they're wasting their time supporting. Like they support some yahooery, in my opinion, and they could be putting that attention to better use, but whatever. They don't listen to me. Since 1947, though, I mean, were you getting a Brownells catalog when you were a kid?
No, I never heard of it until I was growing up.
I can remember looking at a couple of things when I was a little kid. Bannerman catalog, before I even knew nothing. Like Bannerman catalog for me, you know how when we were little kids we had catalogs for Christmas?
Yeah.
Because that was a thing. Like little people around nowadays, little kids nowadays don't know that you didn't have the internet. So how do you think you figured out what Christmas was? They were still trying to, sell us Christmas toys and stuff. So they'd make a catalog, a giant printout of what would now be Amazon, print it out, just the toy section of Amazon, print it out in a book. And then I don't remember, did you get it in the mail? I can't remember how we got it anymore. I think you got it in the mail.
Yeah, it was thick. You could bludgeon people with it.
Huh?
You could bludgeon people with those back in the day. Remember the Sears catalog?
Even the Christmas one was as thick as a phone book. I mean, the real one was really thick, but the Christmas one by itself was pretty thick. But anyhow, so everybody had everybody got a Christmas catalog. The Brownells catalog was always there too for me because it was way older than me. So as long as I've been alive, there's been Brownells catalogs laying there. And at least back in the day, the new Brownells catalog, I wasn't really allowed to fiddle with. The old Brownells catalogs I could just have because they were pretty much identical. So like all the old ones that I wanted, probably the ones that had a good cover or for a reason I liked the picture in it or something, were mine. So anytime I wanted to thumb through something, see, you could basically tell how something works by looking at all the parts that are available for it. That's what Brownells is, parts catalog, gunsmith and tools, stuff like that. And then of course the Bannerman catalog. So that's like I would be looking at that stuff Like nowadays, you flip through Instagram. Like back in the day, I would have flipped through those catalogs when I was bored. Anyway, so that was the big chunk of Iowa. The other thing is LMT, Lewis Machine Tool, started off in Illinois and then moved to Iowa in 2019. Why? Because Springfield and all that horkery that was going on in Illinois. Everybody's like, oh no, Springfield, they pay people a lot of money to forget about that. Why don't we forget about that? Like the people that are paid a lot of money suggest we should. Why don't we ignore the fact that companies that work against us do that? Like, let's just forget about it. Well, LMT is one of the victims. I'm just going to go ahead and say victim of it, even though I don't know the details or the circumstances. They moved from Illinois, which is a weird state that looks like an arrowhead, to Iowa, which is, as we all know, the head and nose of that dude who hangs out in the middle of the United States, made up of states. And then I guess we have a Second Amendment rally, because this was written in 2020. And in 2020, they actually did have a Second Amendment rally in February. I think that one actually did go off. We all know that soon after this, stress and panic ensued, and all the other rallies were pretty much shut down. I was afraid of all the Chicago gangs stealing their corn. It's easier to get a bale of corn on the streets of Chicago than it is to buy a book.
Gotta watch those books.
Things. They make their hooch out of it. The moonshines. All right, well, so nobody's jumping in. Let's see if the thing over here got any votes. No, we didn't get a vote for Montana. All right, we'll look at Montana. So that's going to take out 3 states. We'll probably go back and look at these states again if we get enough super chats. Oh yeah, you could super chat this channel, I think. Yeah, there's a super chat button. But no, we'll go back and look at these things once I get the better version made. Plus, this is kind of a sloppy attempt where we'll be getting better at this Tuesday show. The goal is to have Monday motivation, get people aware of how to do the stuff we're doing, keep people focused, right? Looking towards the big goals, the important stuff, instead of all this urgency that we always have to worry about. Tuesday's 2A, what we're talking about. Wednesday's taco quiz. Thursday, we're going to talk about our travels and training, kind of alternating both, whatever. Friday, we'll do the wrap up, like Clover, and we'll also be doing the focus on industry and calendar and stuff like that. I guess technically Saturday we do the Ask Gun questions as well. 30-second matters, blah, blah, blah. So we're looking at Montana, and this will be a 3-fer today, since people did vote in the poll that's happening in the background, all fuzzy on the screen. Over here where I'm wiggling. All right, so Montana was the 41st state. We only have 57 states, so that's pretty recent. 1889. They do have a Second Amendment. I'll read it from their state constitution, Article 2, Section 12. Article 2, look at that. The right of any person to keep and bear arms in defense of his own home, person, and property, or in aid of the civil power when thereto legally summoned, shall not be called in question.
Wow.
But nothing herein contained shall be held to permit the carrying of concealed weapons.
Wow, that last bit is
What the
not
hell?
great.
Where's my
But then
eraser?
that sentence before that, that's a posse, right?
It
Like
doesn't
that
work.
sentence right before, it's like you can have a posse, but you don't get to conceal carry. Right? Am I wrong?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what are you saying? Like the right of the people to keep and bear arms in defense of his home. So right
Okay,
away, it's
keep going
sexist.
beyond that.
Right away,
Well,
it's sexist and also homeless people.
Right. It says-
Person. So I guess that's homeless people technically. And
Yeah.
property. Oh, there's women. Oh, wait, hold on. And then
the
or
next sentence.
in the aid of civil power when therefore legally summoned. So that would
Posse.
be like more. Yeah,
We're getting a posse together. We're gonna go find some.
I was thinking militia. You're right. I was thinking
Yeah,
that
we're gonna
probably
get a posse. The
militia.
sheriff pulls up and says, "Gee, get in the car. We're gonna go find barbecue. Let's go." He robbed the bank. Right? I'm not wrong there, right? That's what they're talking about.
I think so, and definitely they would have them in Montana.
Yeah. Well, the nearest cop might be, the backup for the cop might be 200 miles away.
Oh yeah, DJ saying deputization. Yeah, basically the same thing.
I
All
don't
right,
like that
and
last.
then open carry without a permit. That's pretty decent. Concealed carry since 1991 it was shall issued. Only 50,000 permits issued. 50,000 in all of Montana. What did Alaska had 9,000 and Iowa had like 300,000.
Wow.
Constitutional carry, nope. Oh yeah, nope. Suppressors for hunting. What's up with that, Montana? They're afraid the Canadians will come down and quietly hunt. State firearm, none. What are we putting up there? Shiloh, sharps.
Something in 4570 because you got to shoot buffaloes. They mean like
Well,
on the road or in your garden or something.
I mean, I don't want to be dick and contrary, but I would rather not celebrate the extinction of a species and go with the sharps because it's newer. But the sharps was probably used for that too. So I was just thinking the sharps because I think they are built there. Arms Corps is new. And these other things I never heard of.
Arms cars were from there?
Not recently, since 2011.
Okay.
They build their ammo here. Arms Corps is the ammo, and
Okay.
then the other one is in Nevada is where they make the frames or something, and then they'd open one in Pahrump, and I can't remember if that was ammo or frames.
Hey, G, I got to jump out, man.
All right, well, thanks for jumping in.
Thanks, bud.
So Pants is saying they just got constitutional carry in Ohio. Well, you've been not watching the other shows, but yeah, right on. And we're waiting now for see if Georgia, see if Nebraska, and wait. Oh, I thought we already had Ohio. Now I'm all trying to remember. Where am I going to look? I'll just go look on Minuteman. Yeah, I had you down as 23. So we're waiting for Nebraska, Georgia, and I thought somebody else had brought it back up. And I'm not sure what happened with Minnesota. But that's another thing I'm going to try to do on Tuesdays is have a bit of a scoreboard so people can keep track of what's happening in a relatively consumable package. Let's see, how far did we get into this? I kind of left off there with no state firearm. We had talked about what their state firearms could be. Another facet of that is the Boone and Crockett Club, founded in 1887, Missoula. Bow hunting, right? Is that Boone and Crockett, or is that the regular hunting? So I'm not sure if that applies. Having a bow or something as your state firearm would be kind of interesting. And make a statement. All right, so Second Amendment sanctuary. So we have the Montana law. So in October of 2009, they passed a bill, the Montana Firearms Freedom Act, signed into effect in April, and it became effective October 1st. Basically said same thing as that other one we looked at about if you build something inside the state of Montana, the federal government can't touch it, and they're not going to spend any of their resources to enforce federal laws for stuff that happens inside the state and stays in the state. And we've made this little graphic we post on every April 15th, tax day. And just to remind everybody that you can come out of nowhere and sign something into law and tell the feds, hey, we challenge your authority there. And now you have to somehow react to that. and that motivated other states. We go over here to 2A sanctuary. We've also got NFA sanctuaries somewhere, maybe. Could that be? Just heard some frustrating news, but anyway, we'll keep walking. Montana. What happened? Go back to my StreamYard. There we go. So, yeah, I don't know the result of that. I guess I was looking over here to see if I had a thing for the NFA sanctuaries. No, I'll keep looking for them. Like I say, I'll eventually get this thing all souped up. So we'll just keep going. So that was the Montana Firearms Freedom Act, which I believe should be more celebrated. And if you want to not be doom and gloom on tax day, think about how Montana put their thumb up and went like this, or put their thumb up to their nose and went like that. Let's see. We talked about the Boone and Crockett, which I think is the first of the hunting clubs in 1887. So the beginning of conservation and wildlife management, also the development of this, passing along the skill set. I think it was Boone and Crockett that starts with bow and arrows, right? And the guy passing down the legacy of how to hunt from the old native trackers, I guess, hunters. Let's see. So then we get the that one happened in 1887. Then Wild Sheep Foundation starting in Bozeman, Montana in 1974. And then Rocky Mountain Elk starting in 1984, 10 years later. So sheep, elk, there's pretty much a national level organization to help species management, again, wildlife management, I guess, but education and what's the word? Conservation, species conservation and wildlife management of the different, I guess more than herds, like, species. So I'm not totally aware of them. I've just kind of paid attention to them over the time, but it's interesting that 3 big hunting organizations come out of Montana. Let's see. Then we get Pat Spurgeon. That's interesting. So we talked about the other Olympic markswoman first. And this is Pat Spurgeon, the first markswoman in history to win an Olympic gold. What was the other one? It was Iowa, and I'm going to find Alaska now. Why do I got Pat Spurgeon in both Alaska and Montana? Was this a ripoff? So I wonder why I did that. Maybe she lives in both places. By the way, this one was sponsored by Tim and Gun Library Garrett. There is another one, but I guess it's not Pat. And I'm not sure why I've got her in here like that. I don't put any note in here, so no, the Olympics, you don't have to be from a state or anything. I don't know why I've got her in like that. With all the deer and bear I saw go into Glacier Park, you'd think every person had a gun if they went outside. In Alaska? I feel like if you put up enough signs that let the bears know that this is a no goring zone, then they wouldn't gore you. or if you put up a sign that said like only eating of certain humans, then they would only eat those certain humans. Let's see. So next we'll take a look at Mary Fields. Born a slave somewhere in Tennessee, Mary lived to become one of the freest souls to ever draw a breath or a 38. And I believe that was a quote from, I can't think of his name. A famous actor from back in the day had met Mary when he was a child or something. She was a friend of the family, and he respected her a lot. And then she was pretty cool. So if you haven't checked out Mary Fields before, she was famous back in the beginning of Montana. And was it Pony Express? It was either Pony Express or no, it was a stagecoach. I think she ran a stagecoach for the longest time and was able to run a stagecoach through some pretty wicked areas just by being smart and having a lot of gumption, I guess the way to say it, and not taking no for an answer ever. Seems like pretty neat. Read a bunch of stuff about her as I was reading about 2A activists back in the day. Not a lot of female 2A activists, so I like to find as many as I can. The stories of them. Let's see. So then we've got the companies. So I sort of have it. The Second Amendment's at the top. Time they were brought into the nation, their flag and their state shape over here. The basic kind of stuff that all the state are to compare all the different states together here. And this is like the evolution of this data. Special events about Second Amendment and stuff, and then some of the organizations, some of the people, and then the industry. So as far as industry, we've got Shiloh Rifle, who started in 1976 in New York and moved out to Big Timber, Montana in 1983. So Shiloh making the Shiloh Sharps, kind of a copy, but I believe it's a licensed version of that. They bought the name or whatever, if I remember right. Then we got Billings, Army Navy Surplus since 1980. I've been on tour quite a few times across the country. And one of the things I look at is gun shops. I go to gun shows and museums. The fourth thing I think in priority is surplus stores. I've grown up in surplus stores. They're one of my favorite things ever. Been to Bannerman Castle now, and definitely super big fan of surplus stores. I've been going to surplus stores since I can remember going to stores, and I'm really an enthusiast of them. Can't tell you how awesome Billings Army Navy Surplus is. It is an authentic, real surplus store, and like some of the best, it is not easy to get to, and probably like a lot of giant gold nuggets just laying on the ground. The reason they're there just laying on the ground is because they're not easily accessible. So it's in Billings. It's better than not being in the middle of, it's in the city, but so it's not too far from Cody. If you ever go to Cody, Wyoming, it's not too far from there. It's definitely a day's drive. I can't remember. I think it was less than a day's drive for sure. Maybe even just a few hours. I think I was farting around. I don't think I drove very fast, but it wasn't very far. And definitely worth checking out if you're an advocate or a fan of surplus stores. If they must have a website. They probably got a pretty interesting website. I never really looked at it. Then we got, and they've been around since 1980. And I think they came, for at least the owners and stuff, came from a surplus store back east somewhere. Oh, all right. Well, that was a weird yawn. So then we get Cooper Firearms in Montana, founded in 1990, and I do not remember. I think some kind of bolt action rifle, probably. Montana Rifle Company, I believe that's also bolt actions. They were from 1999 till 2020. They're out of business, I guess. Oath Keepers started up in Montana in 2009. You'll see a lot of 3% stuff that kind of started with Oath Keepers, at least as far as marketing on the internet. Back in the day, it's kind of one of these organizations that you join and then you get some patches and some marketing, and that's about it. Not super sure about them. I don't really consider them 2A, but they're kind of adjacent to 2A. And before the real 2A activists started to come around, they were about the only thing out there that would ever mention 2A besides the NRA. So that's why they're in there. But they're adjacent. Then, as I mentioned, we got Arms Corps. Rock Island Armory came to the U.S. In 1985 for their firearms as an importer, and then they opened the second location in Stevensville, Montana, and that is to do Arms Corps USA armor or ammo. So ammo from, well, they're being made, it's made there, but it's a company from the Philippines. All right, so that again was brought to us by Gun Library Garrett and Tim. Thanks to the people who sponsored this back in the day. They'll always be in here. And that was 3 states, bonus states, even though Iowa is the only one we should have looked at. But I kind of figured these were going to, those states in the poll over here were brought up by the folks who were in the barbecues chat earlier. So that's why we went with Iowa, Alaska, and Montana. It wasn't quite random. It was their preferences. But I kind of figured with that list, we weren't going to have a ton. You get into the states like Connecticut, California, just some of the states that have more population or more history with guns, you're going to get, we'll have more stuff. I'm going to turn that off because it's creeping me out. And we'll wrap this one up. It looks like it went about an hour. And each week we'll focus on a different state. If you've got an idea or if you'd like to request a state, especially now while I don't have everything all figured out, feel free to do so either in the, well, I wouldn't do it in the comments now because we're about to end, but in the comments in the description of the video, feel free. I'll be posting these on other platforms more than likely. So if you are listening to this over on UGE Tube or over on guntube.org, or if you're listening to this on gunstreamer.com, oh wow, that thing ended. It's been an hour. That's cool. If I do this thing for an hour, then a whole 3D print can happen. If somebody would have jumped in, I would have showed them what I'm working on. Some cool stuff that'll either be prizes tomorrow if they're uncovered, or they'll just stay hidden for future shows of the tactical quiz, or they may be available as Free Patch Friday perks this Friday at the Gear website store. So I'm going to go back to printing some stuff. I'm going to say thanks to everybody who joined us live, especially those who participated in the comments. It's much funner to have a bit of participation as we're chatting here, especially for things like feedback and to make sure we're not being completely crazy with some of the topics and whatnot. Thanks to, let's see, we'll go through and say hey to everybody. DJ was in here for a moment and then he ducked out. Pink is out there. I don't know if I get to tell you that I've been flying the drone a little bit. Thanks for that. We'll definitely be doing more about that. Daniel just replaced the extruder on the printer. It's printing awesome now. Pants is out there. Let's see. Woods was in here before, jumped out and gave me some news. Thanks for that. Heads up. And Gunmetal Guy, I missed that. So I'm glad I'm going back looking at all this. Thanks for showing up. And I think that is everybody. All right. So with that, we'll say thanks again for joining us live. We'll end it here with a quick thank you to our Patreons, the folks who subscribe to what we do for the, let's go up here and look at some of this. Some of them for just a couple of bucks, a buck or two each month. They throw it at us. Half that money goes to fees. The rest of it pays a bill or two. So we appreciate that, especially nowadays that that's not necessarily a given. People have other things to do with their cash. A bunch of people throw in the cost of a cup of coffee at us. People are always saying like, oh, let me buy you a beer or whatever. Let me buy you a coffee. Couple of, well, however many people here. Oh, let me close that. A bunch of people do, and we thank them for that. Let me go back over to here. And I guess I could also close this so you can read everything. A bunch of these folks have been with us for a while, watching us build stuff over the years. Some folks are purchasing, or basically equivalent to purchasing us lunch every day. Well, every month, I guess. But when you stack that up, that's literally lunch every day. So we're basically eating on the lunch club. Thanks for that. We've got a couple of people who are throwing a box of ammo. What is that, like 19 bucks or something at us every month? So again, appreciate that. That's not going to a pizza party or anything like that. That's killing bills. These folks are helping pay the servers. They're literally the Daily Gun Show crew. And then the pit crew, the people that started out giving us the big bucks so that we could get out there and travel. And now that that's not on the buffet, they're keeping the van in the parking lot here or in the driveway. and allowing us to make the trips up to Phoenix and to the places that we do get to. But again, keeping the bills paid and our focus on 2-8. And now that we're live again, we do appreciate them. They're the ones that made it possible for us to do that. If you'd like to jump over to Patreon and subscribe, we appreciate that. I'm going to suggest you take $20, throw $5 at us, and take the rest of that $15 and decide who you'd like to throw it at. Check out the people that we support. We support about 30 people over on Patreon. Those are folks that we appreciate what they do, either live format stuff, research, or getting the word out to facets of the community that others haven't or don't. So check out what they're doing and take that $20, give us $5, throw $5 at another person, throw $3 here, $2 there, decide that we're not worth it and give us $3. But when you do that, you're investing in the future of what's on there. So some of the folks ain't doing nothing with it. It's up to you. Feel like the boss, because you are when you're throwing the money around, and leave them suggestions. And if they don't react, then jump and support somebody else. We all win when we take back control from the idea that we have to sell everybody each other something, and that the companies get rich while we have our conversations. There's other ways to run it, and that's what we're attempting to do. So thanks to the people that make us possible to jump on that. As you can see, we got the calendars up there. We'll be paying attention to more of this stuff on Fridays, but we do keep track of what's going on, what is about to happen. And tomorrow, April 6th, is iGold, the Illinois Gun Owners Lobby Day. And that will be an opportunity, first time in a couple of years, that the people in Illinois will be able to meet up with their legislators at this Capitol and let them know their positions and give them kudos if they deserve it for something, and challenge them and hold them accountable for the stuff that they're trying to get away with. There's a Bear Arms in Bitcoin event happening in Miami this weekend. The podcast, the Locked Latinos podcast, is going. I'm curious to see how they how their review is of it. But this is an evolution of a firearms and tech, kind of a mix between a convention maybe and a trade show and a seminar. I don't know if it's a workshop or not, but it's definitely going to mix some different worlds together and give people some familiarization. What's the word? Some introduction to other stuff that they might not be interested in, other hobbies, other focuses. So Bitcoins are pretty important. Saw a really interesting video about how to break down the blockchain. Once people start paying attention to it, and those people are clever, they're going to start figuring out how to get the information across. And once it's not foreign, once it's comfortable, people will master it. And once we've mastered what's next, we're no longer susceptible to the people that are scared of what we're going to do with the what's next. And then finally, there's the Freedom Rally in Sarasota, Florida. I just found this. I don't know anybody that's going to it. I'm not aware of it. I've never heard of it from anything except for some research online, but I figured I'd put it in there in case they just need some help. Hopefully it's not a bad event. Hopefully it's cool, but I don't want to vouch for it necessarily, just make people aware of it. Anyway, so again, thanks for the folks that make it possible to do what we do. We'll throw a plug out here for our print-on-demand stores, a bunch of our logos and cartoons and things that some of the stuff we've done over the years, part of the projects and part of just farting around in these live conversations, our t-shirts, posters, and mugs and things like that. So we're not going to sell you coffee, but if you want to drink coffee out of one of our mugs, basically everything over there throws $5 at us. So it'll cost you $20 everything. We price everything at $19, $19.84. And that pretty much throws $5 at us. So if it costs $42, I think it might throw $8 at us. And if it costs $19, it's probably going to cost throw about $5 at us after fees and shipping and all that kind of stuff. But that's awesome. So you have a cool cup to drink stuff out of if that's your pleasure, and we get $5. And that helps us slay bills and spend more time on this stuff. So thanks again for the people that head over there. And for those that are going to be here tomorrow, stay tuned for the tactical quiz. Patreons, people I mentioned before, jump in as participants. We can have up to 10 or whatever can hold in here. And I've got 4 or 5 quizzes set up that I've been working on since last week. So we'll be picking 3 out of there and having some fun. Working on printing some prizes right now. We've got some other stuff from SHOT, some different swag from over the years. We're doing some different loot for the tactical quiz. And see you then.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on Gunstreamer.com or on GunTube.org.
Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourages you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching GunWebsites.com.